to present on Cities of Vancouver's accessibility strategy. It's good to see many of you online, and some of the names are familiar to me, so nice to see you all today. And I'm just going to share my screen with you all. Um, oh, you know what? Okay. Share. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Great. Great. Thank you for the feedback. So this afternoon, I will be presenting on the City of Vancouver's accessibility strategy. My name is Karen Lai. I go by she, her pronouns, and I work for the City of Vancouver. Um, I'm the accessibility planner. Um, being asked to develop the accessibility strategy. It went to council recently in July, so strategy with the multi-year action plan was passed by council on July 9th of this year. So I'm pleased to go through it with you all. And as we begin the implementation phase. Before we begin, I want to open it up in a good way. I'm calling in from the City of Vancouver. The Mushroom Tsleil-Waututh News and Grommet Nations, and these unceded territories are key to doing this work and to decolonize people the work to do this in a good way. I'm sure you all know why this work is important. We live in an aging demographic based on 2017 Vancouver statistics. Over 25% of age 15 and over live with a disability, and 113,000 people are over the age of 65. And how we term disability in this strategy is that we left it very broad and on a wide spectrum, including age-related impairments, those living with mental health, intellectual, or cognitive impairment. In November of 2021, we put forth to Council an interim update accessibility strategy to Council, where we gave Council an updated progress report as we were going through the development of this strategy. In the meantime, we asked the council to approve of 5 accessibility commitments, and they are respecting the rights, dignity, and independence of persons with disabilities over their life course. fostering a safe environment where all people feel valued, included, and have a sense of belonging. Number three, create opportunities for persons with disabilities to be involved in decision making and participate fully in all aspects of city life. Number four, demonstrate the knowledge and perspective of persons with disabilities and are integrated across all city processes, policies, and decision making. And number five, listening to and addressing the needs of persons with disabilities in city programs, services, and physical infrastructure. I read these five accessibility commitments out loud because this grounds the work that we do in accessibility, and as we move forward in implementing this strategy. We did extensive community engagement, and at the forefront of all the engagement we did, persons with disabilities were at the forefront of all engagement. We were guided by an accessibility task force committee, and now as we implement this strategy, we are guided by an accessibility committee. And through our engagement, we heard many diverse perspectives on what does accessibility mean to them. As you can see, there's a wide range from moving from point A to point B, planning cities for people that are on the margins, the real diversity of persons without barriers. So accessibility can mean a wide range of things to different people. From a city perspective, we have agreed that the definition of accessibility is being able to reach, understand, contribute to, and use the places, information, and services within a city. There's a bit of a timeline of how we developed the accessibility strategy. It was put forth by council in 2018 to develop an accessibility strategy. Then in 2021, the provincial government came up with a Accessible BC Act. So really, City of Vancouver was ahead of the game in starting out to plan the accessibility strategy. We did many engagement. We worked with internal staff to develop a multi-year action plan. And then in July of this year, we developed a multi-year action plan and an update on the strategy was approved by council of July of this year. As some of you know, With the Provincial Accessible BC Act, it required all municipalities and preferred organizations to require three things: an accessibility plan, an ongoing accessibility committee, and an ongoing public feedback mechanism. We are currently recruiting for our accessibility committee. We are looking for a youth to join the committee. So if you know of any youth with disabilities, please ask them to get in touch with me. The deadline is by October 1st. As I mentioned, community engagement was really important in the development of this strategy, and people with disabilities were at the forefront. We did meet and greet sessions with community organizations. We did 21 community dialogues with intersecting identity. So we had one community dialogue of disability and seniors, another one with disability and immigrant or refugees, another focus group on disability with sexual orientation. So we had 21 dialogue sessions totaling. We did an online survey. And then moving on to phase 2 of the development of this strategy, we brought out the draft phase 1. We went back to community having broader engagement sessions where we actually came back to them and did we hear it right? Did we miss the mark on anything in our phase 1 approach? And then we gathered more data. And then we developed a what we've heard report for both phase 1 and phase 2 is right now in development. Part of this strategy is how we demonstrate building a culture of vulnerability for people with non-visible disability. It takes huge vulnerability to actually share what they live with. And from an organization point of view, how do we create this space for people to show up, for people to tell others what they need for support, what they require, and how can we think differently. So for both parties, for all people involved, we need to build a sense of vulnerability so people can actually find creative solutions together, explore new ways of doing things. Each of us need to transform our attitudes and dismantle our own stereotypes and assumptions so that we know how to build a better city for everyone. And we are going through an implementation phase here at the city. We are doing fostering a culture of vulnerability through three things: accessibility training to council and city leadership. We're building an internal community of practice where we share best practices between teams as departments implement their own actions. And then we also work with an accessibility committee, which is made up of external community members of people with disabilities. And then we're in the process of building an internal knowledge hub where we in the city, we have an internal website for our staff. So on there will be like toolkits about making accessible workplaces or how to build an accessible engagement session, like some guidebooks to help us do embed accessibility into everything we do. So we have 9 different focus areas in our strategy. The 9th area of focus, emergency management and climate change, came out of a broader engagement where we went back to communities saying what is missing. And emergency management was top of mind for people. So we have areas like built environment, transportation, housing, communication, employment, governance and engagement, capacity and collaboration, advocacy and working with other levels of government. And then the 9th area is emergency management. So we worked with all levels of departments, all departments within the city, and together we came up with 106 actions over the 9 different focus areas. Some are completed, some are in progress, and the future consideration is what we heard from community, what would be ideal from community, and those were included in the multi-year action plan, and that's 27. So within so 27 of those actions are for future. Some of the work completed to date is to make sure that housing operators have plans and tools to repair broken elevators, updating the accessible parking requirements, updating the zoning and development bylaw to result in more ground floor units, and added accessibility considerations to standardized communications and we now have a disability awareness course for all staff. Some of the work in progress is that we are continuing auditing buildings by Rick Hansen standards, improving navigation methods throughout citywide programs and pedestrian upgrades, reduce accessibility barriers on sidewalks and pathways. We are now exploring changes to the building bylaw to improve accessibility to reflect the BC building code and to create plain language material and provide options that consider accessibility barriers in communication and engagement activities. Sorry. Some of the accountability frameworks that we have put in place, we are accountable to our leadership team and the accessibility committee, as well as to the BC government. We have to do an annual progress report to council, a 3-year report to the government, and we will continue to review the effectiveness of the plan every 5 years. So as we continue on the implementation of the transforming attitudes embedding change, City of Vancouver's accessibility strategy, the disabled community is top of mind for us all. And we have a lot of work to do. And the work keeps going and going. But we would love to build relations and to hear continual feedback from the community. Thank you. Now I'll open it up for questions. Any
Hi there.
questions?
Hi. I just was curious, under the information and communication focus area, is it being considered about advancing changes in the educational curriculum from kindergarten to grade 12?
Well, under City of Vancouver municipal government, we do work a lot with school boards, and one of our focus area is advocating with other public partners. So the school curriculum is within the school board.
Okay.
So we have connection with them, but they're our own entity. So we have relations to them, and we have shared the engagement process with them, and we can advocate on your behalf. the Vancouver School Board.
I see. Okay. The reason why I'm asking is I've recently, I was born with cerebral palsy, and just through reflecting on my own life experience, what I think would have been beneficial for me from the very beginning is if I was able to be exposed to disability related education, not only around just like identifying and discussing the different types of disability, but the concepts of examining, normal and ableism and everything like that. And it wasn't until I was probably like 26 that I first encountered any literature where anything to do with disability and any sort of relatable experience um, that I came across and could identify with was in a psychology of rehabilitation course that I took while doing my undergrad. And that just opened the floodgates of realizing that these struggles are actually a thing. It's not something that's just wrong with me and that I'm feeling this way. Like, this is an actual thing. And it was just such a relief to know that I'm not broken, if that makes sense. And I just feel like I've carried this sense of toxic guilt and feeling broken from like childhood all the way through. And I still continue to work on it, and I just think about all the children with disabilities that are growing up and potentially having the same sorts of thoughts. And I feel like what is required not only to create change within governments and amongst the adult community, but what really is required is systemic changes looking at the underlying root of everything, which is ableism. And the only way that I foresee systemic change being created from a generational perspective is if students are being, if disability education and everything that I've just talked about has gets implemented into the curriculum, and then it will change the way that children and people think in the long term, because it'll be a part of their understanding and awareness and a part of their normal for things to consider and things to know about, if that makes sense.
Definitely, definitely. There's so much room for disability to be embedded within the school curriculum. Um, Unfortunately, that falls with the limitation of what municipal government has jurisdiction on, but we can definitely advocate. But yeah, your voice is definitely needed within the curriculum. And I would just, go and ask for a meeting with your school board or and try to create that systematic change and have conversations with them. And it's slow, the change is slow, but it will get there. So thank you for your comment.
Oh, thank you for giving me the time to share that. And I will definitely be looking into connecting and trying to figure out whether there are people that are already working on this at like a grassroots level and joining with them, or whether there is interest out there for people who want to come together and, take something like this on as an initiative. So if anyone, you yourself included in this meeting, knows of anyone or any organization or group or collective that is doing this type of work or is interested in doing this type of work, please let the presenter know, and I can provide her my email address, and hopefully she can pass that information on to whoever is wanting to connect with me.
Great. Thank you. And we've got Sinu Zoe, if I'm butchering your name, that said in the chat box. I completely share your opinion, Karen.
Yeah, you pronounce it right. It's Sinu. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
Karen, who can I contact about sidewalks that are inaccessible for wheelchairs, including dropped curbs?
Do you want to email me? I'm going to type my email and then I'll forward to the engineering department.
Okay, are you putting it in the chat now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just have to see if I can type and talk at the same time.
Okay.
Hi, Karen. It's Vince.
Hi, Vince.
Hi.
How are you?
Been a while. I'm good. A question about the strategy. In terms of the built environment, is there anything in the strategy to address, I guess, older buildings that, met the building code back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but don't meet today's standards? Or are they grandfathered unless there's a major change of use? So yeah, just including things like the requirements for accessible parking. I don't know if that's in the built environment anymore or not, but those kinds of things.
Yeah, thank you for bringing in that up. I am working on that with the building people. Our department is called real estate facilities and management. The trouble is we've got the history, the historic building, though it's a very slow process. So it is on the top of our minds. But yeah, but it's a very slow process. So yeah, I hear you loud and clear, Vince.
And Karen, I'm not even thinking of historic buildings, but just businesses that have been around, but because the accessibility requirements have changed over the years, but they haven't changed their use. They're not really accessible in today's standards. Nothing to do with historical buildings.
Yeah. So we can only advocate and have conversations with the citizens. There's so many people involved with businesses, the licensing, the requirements, the building, the property developers. So it's getting we need to do something about that. I hear you.
Okay, and then the other question I had was regarding this new housing initiative that I think Vancouver is doing, where allowing smaller homes and things like that. How is that going to impact, from the minimal kind of stuff like visitability to full accessibility? Are any of those six standard plans, do any of them take that into consideration?
Yeah, this is on the top of the mind we actually just met with a development building bylaw people today, and the trouble is that Vancouver has a Vancouver charter. So we need to amend a Vancouver charter to align with the new BC building code. So that's in the works right now. I can't share any more details, but we are working hard with developers, and we actually love the new um busy building code to encourage more accessibility. But it's just getting developers on board.
Yeah, they're a powerful group. So I
Yeah.
guess I don't know how you get their mindset, that to think about that right from day one.
Yeah, exactly. They're a very powerful group, and yeah, and they're a very difficult group to change their mindset.
Okay, thanks, Karen.
Thanks, Vince.
Hello, Karen.
Yeah, hi, Russ.
How are you?
Good. You?
I beg your pardon.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. I just have a question with regard to the city buildings bylaw and the reflection to in the change of code and how that relates to advancing accessibility. I have a couple of experiences lately in Vancouver where I was going to a program in central Vancouver and went to the washrooms in there, and it said they were accessible, but I've got a power. You couldn't even turn a wheelchair around in there, and I had to access that through the outside. Yet it's had the sign it was accessible. They had the ramps and all that, but the size of the washrooms was clearly you couldn't turn a wheelchair around in there, much less a power chair. And I've noticed that in a number of places. So, with regard to our group, how do we? What is the enforcement, or are we just kind of relegated to advocating and petitioning and hoping that they will listen?
Yeah, I mean, I would invite you to email me, and I can forward it to the building bylaw department. I'm not into the nitty-gritty of changing building bylaws. There's a lot of departments within the city that I need to work with, so I can't really comment on the details. But what I would do is email me, and then I'll forward it to the right people.
Oh, I see. So at this point, it's kind of a request for compliance and hope that they pay attention to it. But there's no enforcement procedure. There's no enforcement mechanism and process, is there?
Like I said, we're just in the middle of doing the looking at this, so just email me. Yeah.
Okay, I will. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Vince.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Any more questions? Yeah, Karen, let me know, then we can end the meeting.
I don't hear of any questions. Again, I asked you to email me for anything and for more details. And I know, speaking from my lived experience, I know ever since starting to work with the city, I've only been here for 4 years. There's so many players that need to be in the conversation, and it's such a uphill battle. Learning about increasing accessibility. So I know there's frustrations, voices, but one day. And thank you for all your advocating, and we will get there. Thank you.
Okay, so I will end this call. Thanks everyone for coming. This was really very informative. Thanks, Karen.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.